Yeah, I couldn't wait. It's Romania Black, and I'm sorry, I couldn't wait after episode 3 of Cherry Magic. I was like, look, I'm going to blame it on the fact that I'm going to be gone this weekend on a trip, and I needed to record this episode to have it out by Tuesday, and I could have recorded something else, but I was like, oh man, what if I get back from my trip and I don't feel good? I need to have this episode out, and I really just wanted to watch it. Because, yeah, last episode was so good. We had karaoke, we had saunas, we had flirting, we had inner monologues with Kurasawa, we got to see the inner workings inside his mind, we got park benches, we got longing gazes, we got all of the goodness last week, and it was great. I loved it. I loved it a lot. So the only comment I have, because since I'm recording this a little bit ahead of time, I should have lots of comments for episode 5. Lots of comments for that one. But in the meanwhile, for episode 4, the only comment I have is HBanana7 left a comment for episode 1. And I thought this was really important to bring up. Saying, in an old school BL, Kurosawa would have already forced himself onto Adachi in the first episode. I'm so glad the BL has become more and more respectable and inclusive. It still has a ways to go, but it's still great fodder for gender study. Yeah, and honestly, I have such a torn relationship because a lot of people give yaoi a bad name and they give it a hard time when I'm like, I grew up with the bodice rippers and the heterosexual romances from the 90s and the 80s. Have you read those? I was like, about that. From watching Game of Thrones and watching and reading like Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King and some other books when I was younger, I was like, you know what? Yaoi gets a bad rap for some toxic tropes, but heterosexual romance ain't that much better. Not really. So I respect BL for doing a lot of things that a lot of heterosexual romances I've read don't have the gall to do. And I respect that so much. And you could go, I mean, to be fair, there's problematic elements with both types of romances, and writers, I mean, it's like pick your poison sometimes. I mean, we could open up the floodgates and have a whole gender study conversation, but that is for another day. But I do respect that there is a lot more variance in the type of stories that we get than maybe what was accessible by audiences. Because I'm sure that back in the 80s and 90s, there were still fluffy, really cutesy, heartwarming BL out there. It's just what sold, what made the mainstream, what got translated and incorporated and shipped out to other countries. So there's a whole thing there that you could dive into. But I do think it is important to know that it's great that we are a bit more progressive in our voices. And I think what helps in that is kind of an understanding and mainstream respect to an extent of people of various sexualities. I think that helps get those stories more mainstream and makes them more accessible. So that was a bunch of word vomit, but I appreciate you pointing that out, and you all know what I'm getting at, right? I mean, you could do a whole deep dive, but I feel I'm not well informed enough and I'm not researched enough to do that. Put it on the list, right, of things to work on, I suppose, if I ever go the video essay route. I have lots of others I'm doing right now and working on, but that's a ways I can go. So before we start, I do want to give a shout out to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon to thank you all so much for supporting my channel. Everybody on Patreon supports my channel. That's where I get my only source of income. I don't do YouTube ads. I don't get money off monetization from YouTube or anything like that. It's literally Patreon. I don't have time for all that other stuff. And I'm not good with numbers, so I don't know anyway. Plus, I don't really want to do paid sponsorships over stuff that I don't like. So Patreon helps out a lot. So I want to thank Alex Cornejo, Anime Annie, Be Happy, who is our moderator, as well as Damage3245, Dana, Danger Zone, Alexandra Q, Devorin, Destiny Marie, Ichu, Eric, Fisho, Ghostly Turnip, El Freya, Liam Poles, Lyndon, Matthew Palfinier, Murphew, as well as Adam Perez, Nicholas, Sunspots, Shimoyama, Translucent Men, El Kuno, and Starman AA and Bisa. Thank you all so much for your support. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. Ugh. So yeah, I just couldn't wait. I was like, oh, I wanted to watch episode 4. And then I'm gonna have to wait a bit before I do episode 5. So that's the trade-off. I get to watch this one episode a little bit sooner. I'm gonna have to wait a little bit longer for episode 5. So let's pray there's not a cliffhanger. Also, I turned on my AC because I got in my house today and it was 80. And I was like, my dogs were like, okay, Winch, you need to turn it on. So I'm not sweating my balls off like I was the last several videos. If you see me profusely shiny in some reaction videos, it means it's like 80 in my house. And I don't want to turn my air on, but I buckled down today. I was like, fine. Anyway, we are going to start episode 4 of Cherry Magic. And we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh my gosh. This episode. Oh my gosh. You can't sleep on Cherry Magic. You just can't sleep on it because as soon as you think, you're like, oh, this is just going to be a nice little calm episode. No, not at all. And there are twists. There were turns. I don't know about Kurosawa and I don't want to know. I want to wait until the end of the series to find out, has he been able to read Adachi's thoughts or not? Because there's parts, it's so weird. The show is deliberately trying to confuse you and make you think, because there's sometimes where he answers the questions as Adachi is thinking them, but then if you think about it, you're like, well, but no, it makes sense how he answers them, but it's framed in a way that makes you think he can read his mind. But then there's other times where he's thinking things that you're like, well, why don't you respond, Kurasawa? So I don't know. I'm like 50-50 at this point. I am split down the middle of whether Kurasawa is a virgin or not, and whether he's actually able to hear Adachi's thoughts or not, because we know Kurosawa's 30. So if he can hear his thoughts, now's the time, because apparently all gay men become telepathic if they're virgins after 30. How dare. Where's our superpowers? What do asexuals get if they haven't had sex by the time they're 30? Can I light people on fire? That seems right. I want pyrotechnic powers. I want to fly, bitch. So anyway, so Tsuge, about this, Tsuge turns 30 and gains the power to gain telepathic powers like Adachi. For some reason, I thought he was older than Adachi back in episode 2. So I thought he was over 30 and I was like, well, is he telepathic or not? And I'm glad nobody told me in the actual episode, because that would have spoiled things. I'm glad y'all were patient and waited because you knew this was going to happen. Oh, okay. So he's younger than Adachi. That's crazy. But he seems so much older, but I think it's just because of the deep voice and he has the glasses. So Udon is adorable. Udon is animated so well. They are precious. I love them. I like the conversation that he has about Udon where he says, I've turned into a morning person because of you. Honestly, I am not a morning person by choice. I am a morning person from force of habit. If you've ever grown up on a farm, you have to get up early to feed cows and get up early. I was so used to getting up early my entire life, whether it was working on a farm and getting up early so you can do chores and get stuff done, or when I was younger, I had to get on the bus like from up until I was 11. I got on the bus at like 7:30, so that wasn't early. But we moved when I was 12. And for about 4 years, I was the first person on our bus. And I had to be on the bus by like 6:45 in the morning, which meant you were up by like 5:45 or 6 so you could eat breakfast and get ready. And so from all those years of getting up early, I'm just used to it. So my body is like acclimated. It's used to getting up between like 6 and 6:30 in the morning. And that's just how it is. If I sleep in past 7, my body's like, time to get up. And now I have my dogs, and my dogs are used to getting up between 6 and 6:30. So unless it's like raining outside, and usually I get up to go to work like around 6, because I usually leave my house like around between 7 and 7:30, so I have plenty of time to get to work. And I'm not a morning person by choice, so I need time to like get myself started up and going, right? So if I get up by 6, I can get myself up and motivated by 7:30 and be ready to go. So That's just me. But I understand where Tsuge is coming from. So yes, Tsuge has this idea to write down up to a certain point. He's got this redelivery for him. He's like, this guy again. This guy again. This guy that I won't surely fall in love with over our cat. Him again. They've got so much going towards them in terms of like the opposites attract trope, where it's like the blonde hair, the black hair, the nerdy with glasses, the kind of like rugged street urchin. You guys need to be good over there. So it all makes sense now. I wondered if the Snaggletooth character was going to get involved in who they were going to be paired up with, because a lot of BLs like to pair up different people. Like the magenta glasses guy, he just got to find himself somebody now. But it all makes sense now. The blonde hair with the snaggletooth is meant for Tsuge. And the blonde hair guy seems like a cat. Tsuge likes cats. So this all makes sense. But yeah, he's recently become this area's delivery man. He's like, I'm coming. He's like, I'm not too fond of him. The fun thing is about this is that there's a lot of assumptions that each of them make about each other when he opens up the door. Like, he assumes that the blonde is a party boy who's gloomy and unpleasant, and the blonde assumes that Tsuge is just a shut-in who's mopey and gloomy himself. So neither of them know each other and how they actually are. They're just basing it off of just physical appearance and first impressions alone. And then once they actually get talking to each other, they immediately realize that that's not the case. He's like, well, what's for my parents and my publisher? My birthday was yesterday. He says, how many times is this old dude gonna make me come here? So the fact that he called Tsuge old is meaning, one, either Tsuge looks a lot older he looked older than 30 to me. So, or this kid's like 22 or something like that, which is not uncommon in a BL for there to be a little bit of an age gap, right? He's like, I know you're home, you shut in. I'm like, shut in? Did you see the bookshelves? The mahogany bookshelves? My dude, man is making bank. So shut in or not, you need to reevaluate. Like, you're a delivery service man. He's like, and then he's like, I can hear a voice in my head. Tsuge has a very, very natural, realistic response to hearing this man's voice in his head. Like, oh. And of course he would have a little bit of an imagination because he's a novelist. But then he knows what Adachi has told him, and so it all makes sense, right? So, oh my God. That reveal was fantastic, because I thought he was older than 30. And then when he said it was his birthday, I was like, no. And then it just, that was so good. That was great. I thought he was like 32. Nope. And then he sees Udon, and he's like, is it okay if I pet your cat? And at first when he asked that, I thought it was weird. Like, do you just randomly see cats at people's houses where you deliver and want to pet them? But then you find out that Udon is the cat that the blonde rescued and tried to help, and it's that same cat. So there's an actual reason why he's doing that. And he's like, sure. And the blonde is like such a feline enthusiast. He's like, someone took you in. I love that he used the Udon box to like put him in with the blanket, but the umbrella he put over him is the same umbrella from the company that he delivers for. That's a cute little touch. I love that. Aww. He must really take good care of you. I thought he was a shut-in, but he's a good guy after all. I'm glad he seems so kind. And at that moment, Tsuge fell in love. Tsuge, interesting. Okay, so we've got to do this. We've got to do this now. Do we think Tsuge is a top or a bottom? Do we think he's a top or a bottom? Because Adachi's a bottom. I mean, unless they're a switch. I mean, I'm going to say that I would like to say that Tsuge is a top, but I don't know. I don't know, actually. Him and Blondie might be switches. They might be versatile. They might be able to go both ways. Honestly, I think Kurasawa would do whatever Adachi would want him to do, which would be great, but, interesting. And then the moment he collapses into the floor, I was like, Tsuge, do you need to go take a cold shower and take care of things? Tsuge Masato has been cursed with a terrible magic power. These gays getting all their damn telepathy. are the lesbians turning invisible in this series? So, yes, I keep thinking about the delivery man's face, and I have to finish writing today. I'm like, dude, you should add a chapter. You should just change the whole trajectory of the story. Just, are you under a deadline? Are you under contract? You should just rewrite this entire story. If I were you, you're only 7 chapters in. You can go back and rework this. But yeah, and so the guy comes back. When the guy comes back with more things, that's when you know he's kind of into you. Like, at that point, when he's like, brings back the packages, and he's like, where's the cat? He's like, do you want to see Udon? He's like, oh, well, can I? They say a way to a man's heart is through his stomach, but also if you own pets. And he's like, yes, I'm working, so just for a bit. They just had to animate Udon in the cutest way possible. That cat is freaking adorable. That cat, like, just messing with the little fish toy is so freaking cute. I love it. He says, when I found him, he was in an udon box. Now, honestly, when the blonde says that he put no thought into it, I was like, oh, that is kind of cheesy. But then at the same time, it's like, well, but that's also kind of like funny that he was in an udon box, so why not name him Udon? It fits perfectly. I like it. I couldn't bear to leave him here, but now I think he's cute. Aww. And then our blonde guy says, I thought he was just some shady dude doing who knows what, but now I know he's a novelist. I like these little cat food pouches. They're so cute. Like, go Japan for having little cat food pouches. I know that we have pouches like that in the US, but they don't look like Go-Gurts. He seems like a good owner. Better than me. All I did was look. And so he feeds him. He's like, but there's nothing to worry about anymore. And he said, would you like to come again sometime? And he's like, oh, you know, just to see him. He's like, well, sure, if I'm here to deliver something. And he looks at him, and of course, that's what got him. Tsuge is whipped. Tsuge is 100% whipped. He is just, I love the blonde's like, yeah, I'll come. Like, he literally asks him out on a date. We'll be like, you want to come see him? Like, come back to my place and do that? And he's like, yeah, if I've got to deliver a package. The way that Tsuge is positioned with holding the cat, I'm like, sir, do you need another cold shower after this? He's like, are you okay? He's like, this power is terrifying. Okay. Meanwhile, I get that now Udon is his picture in the phone. That makes sense. He's like, I know this is sudden, but can we go drinking tonight? There's something I'd like to ask you. That's probably the most calm way he could put it, being like, I have to tell you, I also have the magical power to hear people telepathically. But I'm like, you already told him you were a virgin, so just come out and say you have the same ability. It's fine. Adachi will understand. But yeah, so they meet up at the bar. They talk about Adachi's latest adventures saving the girl at the karaoke bar. And he's like, you know, you never told me these kind of stories before at work, so why not? And poor Adachi had just resigned himself to being a virgin and all alone the rest of his life. And he wasn't ever going to be able to be in a relationship. And so he just resigned himself that was just going to be his day-to-day life. But the way he says that after I gain this power, all my days have been filled with excitement and surprises. I'm like, it is true. You have literally given yourself the main character syndrome. But at the same time, he went out on a limb, and it wasn't necessarily just him using his power that's let him have all these adventures. It was him reaching out and making connections and actually connecting with Kurasawa instead of just ignoring him. Like, you don't need magical powers for that to happen. So I'm wondering if he has sex with Kurasawa, will the powers go away? Because we won't be a virgin anymore. So once you have sex with him, will that nix the powers and that's it? And then you can't read his thoughts anymore? I guess we'll see. It would be funny if Tsuge got with the blonde first before Adachi and Kurasawa, and then his ability to read minds went away. And that's how he found out and let Adachi know. That could be interesting if that's, because I could see that happening. Because, you know, sometimes they make our main couples wait before the side couples. But he's like, I always end up thinking about Kurosawa. Oh, thank God. Thank God in this episode, Adachi finally realized and put 3 and 3 together and was like, wait, maybe I'm thinking about Kurosawa all the time because I like Kurosawa. And we're like, you'll think? So, it's always such a good feeling when the blissfully in denial, unaware, like, part of the couple figures it out and you're just like, yes, thank you. Glad we got that settled. Like, that just, I'm glad it's settled. I'm glad we got through that because, dear God, I was like, Adachi, we are 4 episodes in. I'm glad you figured this out. So at first he was gonna, like, Tsuge was gonna tell him about the power, and then the guy puts down the tofu shampoo, and maybe Tsuge just didn't feel like he was comfortable enough saying it because then he'd have to talk about the blonde, and maybe he didn't want to bring up the blonde because then Adachi would be like, oh, do you have someone you like? So, which I'm kind of all about. I'm all about these 2 random couples because I was afraid Tsuge was going to become the third wheel in this, and I'm glad that he has Blondie to distract him. That's good. So yeah, he's like, well, we're already out. Let's hit up another place. And that's when, as he's about to say, I recently turned 30, and then Adachi looks over, and there she is, being like, I said, wait, Yuichi. Okay, so Yuichi is Kurosawa's first name, right? And at first, whenever I did not think about them being siblings, because they do look just different enough that I could just see her being, like, their hair color is brown, but it's a slightly different shade of brown, and her eyes are just a slightly different shade of green, and her face looks slightly different. They did a really good job of making her look different enough. I thought she was an ex-girlfriend. I was on the same page as Adachi and thought she was an ex-girlfriend as well. And when she said Yuichi, it's like, well, if she had dated him before, they would be on a first name basis. And of course, Adachi says she's gorgeous because she's Kurosawa's sister. So inadvertently, he's saying Kurosawa is handsome as well, or gorgeous. And she says, let me stay one night. Because she says you can't just drop in. He says you can't drop in with no warning. She's like, what happened to your current boyfriend? Uh-huh. And she's like, well, screw him. Screw him. She says, just one night, pretty please. So she's having a breakup with her boyfriend and asks to stay at her brother's house. And from the sound of it, because he said he had a long night the next day at work, but it wasn't like a long night of, long night. Like, it was Lionel Richie's All Night Long wasn't playing when he came in. He wasn't wearing the Ron Swanson, Tiger Woods red polo and black pants when he came in. No, he looked exhausted. So she, being his sister, probably kept him up all night talking about her boy troubles, and he probably had to listen to her and comfort her, and that's what happened. So that all makes sense now. But I don't blame Adachi for going into the spiral of, oh, that's your ex and she's asking to spend the night and you're jealous and sad that he's probably going to say yes because he doesn't think that you have feelings. I get that. And every time, it's like BLs have certain tropes. They have geometric shapes. They also have stoplights. that stoplights that conduct whether or not the plot is going to progress or be stagnant. It's great. But yes, and it's not just BL. I would say lots of queer media have that as well. But yeah, so unfortunately, Tsuge does not get to tell Adachi that he has this ability. They're going to keep us in suspense on when Adachi's going to find that out. But I'm sure there'll be shenanigans with the blonde and such as we move forward. We'll see. But Adachi kind of spirals and gets really sad. And as one does, walks home in the rain. Doesn't even put his briefcase up as an umbrella. Just walks home in the rain. And that must have been his ex. And you know what? I don't blame Adachi for thinking the way he does, because I would have thought the same way he did. I recognize that I am a very easily jealous person when it comes to, like, if I like someone, I will do the spiral that Adachi does. I will spiral into, if I see them with someone that I think is an ex or someone I think they might be interested in, my feelings go exactly to where Adachi's does, where you don't think that you're, attractive enough, or you don't think you can measure up to that person. It's like, oh, well, of course they would like them. Like, I've had those exact same thoughts with people that I've liked. And it's very it's very hard, right? Because it's so easy to fall into that spiral. And of course, Adachi is more complicated because he has been constantly, trying to distance himself from Kurosawa, but at the same time he finds himself drawn to him, and so it just becomes this like he's like, well, but I'm not good enough for Kurosawa, and he has all these beautiful ex-girlfriends and all this, and then his heart, he gets the doki doki, his heart starts to feel pain, and it's just, I felt bad for Adachi. So then he gets sick. Now, Magenta Glasses Man, our MVP, is back on the scene to make sure that Kurosawa knows that Adachi is home and has not showed up today. And Kurosawa's like, what? See, yeah, his hair color and eye color is just a little bit different than his sister's. So good on you, show. But yeah, I also kind of like Adachi's house. His apartment is very modest. He's got a couple bookshelves. It is not extravagant like Tsuge's, like the novelists, and it is not a cozy bachelor pad like Kurosawa's. It's pretty small. It's a pretty small, meager apartment. He has like a kitchen. He's got his bedroom. That seems to be mainly it. He also, man, if I could not relate more to his refrigerator, there's like one thing of leftovers, strawberry jam, and a beer. My brother and I are getting ready to go on a trip as I'm recording this. By the time you all watch it, we will be back from our trip. But I literally did not buy groceries this week because I was like, I'm going to be gone Thursday and I'm not coming back till Sunday. So what's the point? So it's literally just like, well, I have bread and some peanut butter, and I'll just eat at the school for lunch. So we'll just do that. So I could relate to Adachi. Also, I think I have a thermometer. Whenever this episode was going on, I was like, do I have a thermometer? Oh, maybe I don't. And so I was like, shit, I probably need to get a thermometer. Hashtag single life. Hashtag single life. Sometimes you don't think of things and you're like, yeah, I probably need that. But I do. It always does feel good when someone makes you things. The last time I was really, really sick, my parents don't live that far from me, and my mother was so nice. She brought me like a Sprite and some McDonald's French fries and some soup, and was just like, here. And I was like, thank you. So there's just, whenever you're sick, nothing feels better than someone bringing you something to eat or drink. Even if it's the littlest thing, it is the best feeling in the world, knowing that someone's taking care of you. So, and Adachi, of course, makes himself even feel even worse when he thinks about the idea of them staying the night. And of course he thinks the worst, thinking the two of them are together. And I felt so bad for him. And he's like, well, why should I be shocked? Of course he's had exes before. He's like, maybe I'm dizzy just because of the fever. I like that he suggests he has a fever. And then whenever I was like, do you have a fever? He's like, oh, I don't know. Now, in the dream he had, I felt really bad for him. Because I don't understand why the girls said he was too much. Maybe that was a mistranslation. Because he says this was 5 years ago, so he's 25 at the time. Which, 25 and having not dated is not uncommon. 25 is still very young. Like, I know a lot of people that haven't dated that are in their like early to mid 20s. Like, that doesn't seem that uncommon, Now, I'm 36 or 37 and have not really dated, so that's a little bit different. But whenever he was like, she's never had a girlfriend, she goes, oh, well, he might be a bit too much for me. How is he too much? How is he too much? The man keeps saying he's barely anything. How is he too much? I really don't see him as being extra. So that part weird, and maybe it was just a translation issue, but the trauma from that incident made me even more cowardly when it came to love. Dude, I understand that feeling. I understand that feeling a lot. I don't really, being on the ace spectrum, I don't have like sexual attraction to people really, but I have romantic attraction where I'm just like, oh yeah, we could date. That sounds fun. As fun as that could be. But I have had a lot, like several instances where it's been like just a relationship that lasts a couple days. And then because I always felt because I wasn't interested in that aspect, it sort of fizzled out their expectations. And then they were like, oh, actually, let's just be friends. I'm not interested anymore. And it just like was like, womp. So yeah, that idea of making it cowardly when it comes to love can relate to poor Adachi. And then Adachi has the let's stay friends. No way. The one girl that was like, we're dating now. And the guy's like, ha ha ha. That was so sad. But yeah, no, I have been through all those where it's like you like somebody and they're already dating somebody else. You like somebody and you are point blank turned down. Been there. Or you like somebody and they're like, let's just be friends. Like, they all suck. And it just kind of like definitely depletes your ego when it comes to that. I don't know why he's carrying the purse in the flashback, why he's carrying the bag, and why he looks like Mikasa Ackerman. Not sure. But yeah, he ends up waking up with the doorbell, goes to the door, and there's Kurasawa, ready to help him. Now, I like that we have, I don't know what the book is that the blonde is reading. I don't know what the book says that he's reading, but I like, maybe it's one of Tsuge's novels. That would be actually kind of funny. But I do love, damn, that cat is animated so adorably. Udon looks so freaking precious. But I do love the fact that they are back to back. And then you have Adachi and Kurasawa that are falling into each other. It's fun. But yeah, so Kurasawa shows up and he's like, well, how'd you know my address? And he's like, I got it from the coworker with the magenta glasses who is basically doing God's work. And then we realize that Kurasawa has called him numerous times today. And he was asleep, which I usually leave my phone on silent. So again, can relate a lot to Adachi in this episode. So he comes in to make him food. And of course, like a damn vampire, he gets permission to come in. That's how he did it. He's like, let me make you some food. Of course, I love the fact that he makes something so simple. It's like congee, it's like rice porridge, and puts the strawberry jam on top. Look at you. Look at you making food out of nothing. Look at you. And I agree with Adachi. Like even if it's the simplest thing, somebody making you food just feels so good. I also love that Kurasawa doesn't judge his apartment or judge the place that he's staying at. Like, he does the dishes and stuff and cleans up and doesn't judge him about it. Like, you know, sometimes in different romance stories, especially when the two people in the relationship have very different homes. Like, one has a big, giant, sweeping apartment. And usually in BL, the ones that I've read, it's like one person's kind of wealthier, or especially in like the salesman office relationship thing, like what's going on here. The top in the relationship has like a sweeping mansion and is head of sales. And then the bottom is like, I'm just in a meager little studio apartment. And so there's often discussion about the differences, which could still happen next episode. Not ruling that out. But I do like the idea that Kurasawa does not seem to judge Adachi for his place at all. Although him checking that forehead, that was a smooth move. All you had to do is put that hand on there. You just had to do the hand to the forehead. You didn't have to go all out, sir. But Kurasawa spared no expense. Yuichi is not going to let that happen. He's like, you should buy a thermometer. When he said you live alone, right? All I could think about was the episode of 30 Rock where Liz Lemon almost chokes on a wedge of cheese. And she's like, oh, damn, I live alone. That constantly worries me. But yeah. And so he's doing the dishes and getting everything ready. Adachi's worrying about his gorgeous ex that's not actually his ex. And Adachi going through here being like, everyone likes you. You're so handsome. Why are you stopping and helping me? Why are you so nice to me? And I'm like, because he likes you, you moron. Why else would he? So he restocks his fridge, tells him to go to bed early, go to the hospital tomorrow. Maybe they can take him to the hospital tomorrow now that he's staying over. And he's like, I chose to come over here. It's fine. And Adachi's like, I've never had anybody except family do this for me when I was sick. Honestly, look, if somebody offers to come to your house and take care of you while you're sick, I mean, that is best friend behavior, no doubt. But if they're not your best friend, then I would be considering that they probably like you. I'm surprised you would go to the trouble. And he's like, whoever ends up dating you will be happy. Whenever he said that, I was like, how dare you, Kurasawa? Going on dates, eating together, holding hands. Like, all of this makes me think, like, Could he read his thoughts? I don't know, because he was holding him in that moment. It means they'll be your first. And if it were me, I'd be really happy. If I were all of Adachi's firsts, I would treasure them all. I'm like, can he hear them? Does he know that he can hear him? Oh. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, your face is red. Do you want to go to the hospital now? He's like, no, don't look at me. And he's like, I have felt self-conscious about my lack of romantic experience. But this man in front of me, this gorgeous man, wants me to be the one he has his first with. He's like, I wouldn't mind experiencing all these firsts with him. And that's why that's when he realized, he's like, I was so upset because I actually like him. And they were so close to getting a damn confession. We were so close to a confession. And I was at first, when the sister showed up, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I wanted this bitch to go away. I was like, are you going to bring this drama? And then I was quickly proven wrong. When she's like, let it go, big sis. And she's like, I followed you on GPS. It's your fault for trying to run away from me. He's like, you shouldn't have gone through my phone. How do you know my password? And she's like, I know everything about you. Now, here's the thing. She says she knows everything about him. I wonder if she's always known that he's not been interested in women. And she's known that, but because she's his sister, she doesn't want to make him feel uncomfortable. So she's just let it go and been like, he'll figure it out. And now she sees this guy and she's like, my brother has never done this before for anybody else. But you, sir, he went all the way over here, made you food, did all this stuff. Okay. Like my thoughts on her in in the time span of 1 minute completely changed. From being like, oh, this thought to, oh, actually, you're trying to hook your brother up with Adachi. Okay, we're great. Solid. You're amazing. Thank you. But yeah, don't underestimate your sister. And yeah, Adachi being relieved that she's not the ex. And she's like, are you Yuichi's friend? She's like, Adachi-kun. Adachi-kun. You two seem rather close. Oh, he looks after me and stuff. She's like, looks after you and stuff. Right. She's like, well, I'll just stay at his place until he apologizes. She's like, you can stay here with your friend. You've got this close friend, stay with him. Girl is matchmaking 101. Bitch, yes, you're amazing. I love you. I changed every thought I had about you. And she's like, you could take care of him. It'll be fun. And that's all it took for Kurasawa to be like, wait a minute. She's right. I could make food for... I like Adachi's face whenever he has the realization on it. She's like, wait a minute. He's like, I could make food for him and see him every morning. I love that his fantasies are him in the pajamas that he got for him. And Kurasawa has like the apron and the green sweater. Like, come on now. Come on now. He's like, it would be fun. Adachi's like, what? She's like, thanks for letting my brother stay with you. Bye. Thank me later. Invite me to the wedding. Okay. And yeah, thanks for having me. Dear God. I'm so excited. This episode was amazing. I felt kind of bad that we didn't get more with Tsuge and the blonde because I was really liking where their storyline was going. And I automatically like their character setup a lot. But this development with him taking care of Adachi, it's going to open doors. Things are going to get crazy. Things are probably going to get weird before they get intimate. And yes, I'm excited for that. I'm so excited to see what we get next week with Kurasawa taking care of him. And if we get more with Tsuge, y'all have no idea. But, I'm so glad y'all didn't spoil me about Tsuge and the psychic powers he was going to get, because that was such a great surprise this episode. And I'm so glad we solved the miscommunication about the ex that turns out to be the sister. And I'm glad that we have Kurasawa going to take care of Adachi. I'm glad we have all this being set up because I'm super excited about it. So, wonderful episode. This series has been just like hit after hit, and I'm here for it. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts down below about all of this jam. So, all this strawberry jam. So, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'm back real soon with episode 5 of Cherry Magic. Bye.